just recognize that you have done something that is so significant.
Yes.
Most people only dream of starting a business. You know, how many times do people, you know, if you have a women's clothing store and you go to a party, I know that you've heard 10 people say, oh, I've always wanted to have a clothing store, right? Well, I've always wanted. But guess what? You did it, and good on you. Congratulations. You have officially set yourself apart from most of the world, and I applaud you and honor you for that.
Welcome back to the Wickedly Branded Marketing Podcast, and to part 2 of this very powerful and inspiring conversation. In our last episode, we laid the groundwork and shared insights you won't want to miss, and today we're picking up right where we left off and taking that conversation deeper, unpacking the strategies, the stories, and the inspiration that will help you bring your brand boldly to life. If you haven't listened to part 1 yet, I recommend starting there. The link is in the description so you can follow the full journey. So without further ado, let's jump back into the conversation.
Right? And then, so they commit to 15 minutes a day.
Okay.
And then every day they get a little more confident. Every day they feel a little wiser. Every day get a little more momentum.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, their business is working the way that they wanted it to work. You know, we all get into the business, you know, Bob Negen, oh my gosh, I'm going to be rich in 2 years selling kites in a store around the corner in a seasonal store in northern Michigan. What was I thinking? But you just keep grinding. Does that make sense? So where does the shift come? The shift comes unexpectedly. The shift comes from a magic moment where all the work you do somehow it gets triggered and it all starts to work the way it's supposed to. Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich, which is a great book, has a quote that I've referred back to often. And I'm not saying it perfectly, but he said, the money known as the big money, once it starts showing itself or flowing, you'll wonder where it ever was hiding. It'll be like water running down a hill. Right. And the point there is you're always looking, you're doing the work, and then all of a sudden it shows up. And that's just not money. That's everything in life. If you just do the right work and you just stay with it, eventually the power of your intention is going to get you the results that you want.
We call it the momentum mountain or the mountain of momentum, because it is a climb. Like you do have to, you're going to be sweating. You're going to like look down and go, oh shit, you're going to, the things. But when you get to the top, you know, the winds of ease are up there. Like there's something that happens that just changes your confidence, changes your, and like so much happens in that moment that is very powerful for our clients as well. I think the thing that you're talking about, the 15 minutes of consistency, is that the learning versus the wishing. Like,
yes,
you can't wish your way to success. You have to actually put that in. You have to learn every day, get better every day, make mistakes every day. Like that's all tuition, right? Like that's all the stuff that makes you better, makes you a better leader, makes you a better person, makes you far more interesting as a human being in the world. So I love this idea of like this momentum that builds in it, because I have felt it. I have felt it, that momentum that happens. And like, you're right, you can't kind of go back. Like you can't undo the learning. Like you can't undo that.
No. It's like this giant store, you know, wisdom doesn't just happen. It's accumulated.
Yeah.
And then, you know, so I'll just share something, another example of this. So I have a yoga nidra practice, and every morning when I wake up, while I'm still in bed, I put in my headphones and I do a yoga nidra. It's guided meditation. We'll just call it, for lack of a better term. And one of the things that happens is they go through pairs of opposites. They make you think of pairs and opposites. think of hot, think of cold. And I always thought it was dumb, 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 dumb. Of course, this is a 3,000-year-old practice or something like that.
Okay.
But I'm smarter than it, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been doing this for, I don't know, 2.5 years. I mean, almost every morning. And then one day I got it. And so let me just explain the concept for your listeners, because applies everywhere. Once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. So we're entrepreneurs, right? So what are we trying? We're trying to hold opposites together. What are we trying to do? We're trying to hold achievement and acceptance at the same time, right? We're trying to hold desire and lack of desire at the same time. So once you start seeing that, once you start getting frustrated about something, you can see that there's always an opposite, and they're always together. It's the Buddhist concept of duality. But, this whole idea, because I was thinking, man, oh man, I really want another level for our business. And so I had this achievement, right? You don't love talking about momentum about
performance person. Yeah.
I'm sweating on the mountain. But then meanwhile, I'm reading Michael Singer and David Hawkins. And, there's whole idea of surrender, acceptance. And how do you reconcile the desire for achievement and surrendering and being present with whatever it is? And the answer is, you don't have to reconcile them. They exist together. They're pairs of opposites. But the reason that I brought that up is it's another example of you just do work,
right.
And then all of a sudden a truth reveals itself.
Oh gosh, yes.
Oh, yes.
That's what no, there's this I think philosophy or this idea that even when you go to church, for example, I go to church every Sunday. My family is Catholic. We go to church, and you're meant to hear what you hear, because when you're in church for an hour, you might zone out a little bit, come back to, but it's like you're supposed to hear what you're supposed to hear,
right?
So you might not need to hear the part that you zoned out on, or maybe that zone out is what makes you think about the thing you need to think about, whatever that is. But you hear what you're supposed to hear, you learn what you're supposed to learn, and it comes to be as it's supposed to be, kind of thing.
Yeah.
When you're ready, when you have done the work, when you have opened yourself to the idea of learning, of this new skill, of this new awareness, whatever that is for you. But yeah, there's you learn what you're supposed to learn when you're supposed to learn it is a really interesting concept. And it happens all the time. It's specifically more so, I think, in church, because we're quieter in church.
Well, I was going to say, that's exactly right. Serendipitous and synchronicity and all of these insights, they cannot come to a busy mind.
Yes.
You cannot accept through a closed fist, right? You can't accept love through an open heart. You can't, God, the universe, whatever, your better nature, all those things can't be heard if your mind is going at 1,000,000 miles.
Absolutely.
And that's where presence, having the breath, or a meditation or a yoga nidra practice is so valuable, because it slows your mind.
Okay, so you have this amazing system, the Whiz-Bang Retail Mastery System. Kind of talk about what that does and who it's specifically for. I know you work specifically with retailers. Talk a little bit about that and what that looks like for you guys, so that my listeners who are in that space can maybe get some more, structure, mindset, and what was the other one? Structure, mindset,
mindset, skill set, and structure.
Skill set. That's the one. That's skill set, the most important thing.
Yeah. Well, so so mindset has to start, right? So they're perfect example of all these things. Fear. Oh, so people, so it's not inexpensive. It's $3,000. So there's fear. It won't work. I won't do it. I bought things before and I never did it. Or, there's all these fears associated with it.
Absolutely.
So you have to make a commitment to doing it, but it's really truly filled with all the skills a retailer needs. So I'll just, so a lot of the information that's in the retail mastery system is all the things that I sort of learned the hard way on my own. But what makes it so comprehensive and what makes it so special is it also includes all the things that Susan brought in.
Mm.
So, for instance, I didn't know what an open to buy plan was. So when Susan came to work for us, she had been a buyer at Macy's, and we had a partner at the time who was the CFO of a chain of sporting goods stores here in the Midwest. And Charlie told me, he said, Susan's going to make you more money. I go, how's Susan going to make me more money, right? How can you make money buying? I thought that buying was picking up the phone and ordering a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Money by selling stuff. But of course, I was wrong. I didn't know what a merchandising philosophy was. I didn't know what assortment planning was. There were just all of these retail skills that I didn't even know existed.
Mm-hmm.
I was unconsciously incompetent.
Yeah.
And then when Susan came along, all of a sudden, I didn't know what I didn't know. Susan came along, and now all of a sudden, now I know what I didn't know.
Yes.
And that's one of the beautiful things, because there's 11 modules in the retail mastery system, and every one of them represents a different skill. And so if you get into retail, I guarantee, unless you come from a retail background, and even then, I'm going to say if you came from Target and you open a retail store, there's a whole other skill that's specifically for, but all of these skills, there's a module for each of these skills. And there's over 25 hours of, information. There's over 100 downloadable forms. So if you're a retailer and you're ready, and you're ready to make that commitment, ready to get past that fear, it's got a 90-day unconditional money back guarantee. So you shouldn't have any fear. But, if you just say, if you go through it, you will be more knowledgeable about what it takes to run a retail store than 97% of independent retailers in the world, end of story, period. I feel confident in saying that. And,
I would agree. I've worked with you that do the retail mastery. The clients that I have helped that have done the retail mastery system are far more sophisticated. They're far more intentional. They're far more confident. That it does change them as a leader and a business owner and as a store owner and a community person. Like it changes everything for them, even from how you do. There's going to be a name for it because you have a name for everything, Bob. I brought the Bob is in, but how you do donations to.
Oh yeah, cause marketing, sure.
To how because I'm the marketing side, right? So I see a lot of that side, like the Saturday sales and things like that. So I just feel like you have really honed down some of the things that are just incredibly important and powerful for retailers to really maximize every single customer that comes through the door, maximize every single piece of inventory that comes in the door, maximize your team in ways that you didn't even know was possible. The six steps to selling that you do.
6 steps to the perfect purchase.
Yes, thank you. So I don't know all the words, but I do know. Don't quiz me. But I do know a lot of the things that I feel like, even though I'm not a retailer, I have learned a ton from what the concept. So I have an 8-step to a perfect purchase, kind of based on your 6 steps. So I have taken a lot of what you have offered to my clients because I've been in their orbit and your orbit for so long, and applied it to my service-based business as well. So I feel like it's incredibly thorough and just general skills you need to understand as a business owner that I don't even think a business course can teach you. So
no, a business course can't, because a business, they look at things differently. And if I could add one thing here, Beverly, I think that not just as importantly, but something that is also very, very important is it teaches you how to think.
Yeah.
Because when you get into business, everybody's telling you things, and all of the beliefs from your past are all of a sudden raising their ugly head. If you have beliefs that people are going to try to take advantage of you, that's how that belief is going to show up in the way that you do business.
Mm-hmm.
And, an example is I teach that you shouldn't have a return policy, that your return policy should be, if you're not happy, we're not happy. And that runs so contrary to the way most people think. But, to your point, I'm good at explaining things. So when I explain it, people go, oh, that makes sense. And I think that, what we talked about at the very beginning here, this whole idea of heart of service, another way to say it is love your customers, the money will follow.
Yeah.
And, if just going through that, yes, you're going to get all the tactics and all the things that you talked about, but you're also going to learn how to think in this very customer focused, heart of service way to do business. And I think that that's so valuable.
We talk about that too. From so many websites are built based on it's all about me and not about the customer. What would the customer do is one of the things that you guys talk about. But we say it's the customer's journey. It's not. You're the guide, and the customer. It needs to be written for the hero, the customer, not you. And so we really center the customer as well with the work that we do. And that comes from, my husband's in the military. My mom was a nurse. My dad was a teacher. Service is in my blood.
Yeah.
Definitely comes from that. But I do think when instead of selling as your central as serving, it does change kind of how you approach things. I believe that entrepreneurship, I have a graduate degree in communications, but I believe that entrepreneurship has been the graduate degree of life. It has taught me things that, and I've encountered things that I would never have been possible without doing entrepreneurship. Anything that you have struggled with will probably be magnified somehow in the entrepreneurial world. Anything you've done really well will probably be minimized in some way in the entrepreneurial world. It's kind of this world that turns things in ways you never thought possible.
Well, you know why? It's because the market doesn't lie. The market is what the market is. And if you're so what is business? It's a value for value proposition. And if you're not putting enough value out into the world's not going to give value back to you. Value meaning money. And so, you can't fool yourself.
Yeah.
Or if you do try to fool yourself, you're going to go out of business. But if you're looking at it from a realistic perspective, hey, this ain't working. What am I going to do is your question. So, I told you about our son running Stain Solver, and, it didn't go the way that we had hoped it would go. I mean, we sold it. It's all right. But, Joe is young, and he kind of saw it as a failure. And I keep going back to him and saying, dude, you have no idea what you have learned.
Yeah.
And right now he's applying for jobs, with startups and AI companies. He's sort of got networks there, and, everybody's digging what he did.
Right.
Right. And it's that whole idea of, it goes back to, so if all of your listeners are entrepreneurs, and I want to say this to them, even if your business doesn't become what you want it to become. So if you're a retailer and after you give it a good shot, you say, this isn't for me, because it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
Or you open your own service business, and after a couple of years, you go, this isn't fun. I don't want to do this anymore. It's all okay, right?
Yes.
It's all part of your journey. But just recognize that you have done something that is so significant.
Yes.
Most people only dream of starting a business. How many times do people, if you have a woman's clothing store and you go to a party, I know that you've heard 10 people say, oh, I've always wanted to have a clothing store, right? Well, I've always wanted. But guess what? You did it. And good on you. Congratulations. You have officially set yourself apart from most of the world. And I applaud you and honor you for that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, 100%. It takes all those things we talked about, grit and heart and resilience and courage, to be that person, to put yourself in that position, to be vulnerable, to be even open to learning, all the things that we've talked about in this conversation. It's been amazing. We really haven't talked much about marketing even though it is the Marketing Magic and Messy Middle podcast.
And that's one of my, our book is Marketing Your Retail Store in the Internet Age. So yeah.
Hey, I know you're listening today because you're ready to take your business and your brand to the next level. But if you're being honest with yourself, maybe even feeling a little bit lost, but you've got this big vision and you know that you're meant to make a bigger impact. But sometimes it's so hard to know where to start and which direction to take. Does that sound familiar? You're not alone. So many purpose-driven entrepreneurs feel the exact same way as you. That's why I created the Clarity Quiz, a simple tool that helps you get to the heart of what's holding you back and shows you where you need to focus next. No more second guessing, no more spinning the wheels, just clear, actionable insights that give you the confidence to move forward, that next best step. Taking the quiz will give you a deeper understanding of your brand's true potential and what's standing in your way. And the best part, it only takes like 3 minutes, but the results, they could transform the way you approach your business and brand forever. So if you're ready to stop feeling overwhelmed and you want to start showing up with purpose and clarity, go to wickedlybranded.com and take the quiz now. So, but I do always ask every single guest to answer a couple of questions about.
Sure.
The business that I have, I changed my name last March from BC and Associates Marketing to Wickedly Branded. And when I rebranded, it was for lots of reasons. But I want to know what it means to you to be wickedly branded. How do you show up, or how does your business show up as wickedly branded? And then what tips would you give to our listeners to be more wickedly branded?
Sure. Can I say a mild swear word?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's how I'm wickedly branded. I know my shit and I care. Right? I mean, there it is. I know my shit because I have been there. I did this for 19 years. 26 years I've been doing it. So if I have an opinion, it's based on something that is real and tangible, and I'll defend it. If I don't know, okay, I'll tell you I don't know. I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert in anything, but or in everything. But in caring, I just think that just showing up as yourself, and and staying focused on it. Because when I get tired, I sometimes stop. But authenticity, especially in an increasingly impersonal digital world. Or if you're in retail, if you have a brick and mortar retail store, just the ability to make people feel good about themselves by you being the best version of themselves. One of the nice things about being a small business person is every day you have the opportunity to put some love into the world, to, if you're in retail, especially, or if you have a coffee shop, or you have a public facing business, that whole heart of service, if you can be that way and you can build a culture that way, you're going to build, and you have skills, right? You have to have skills. You can't just say, oh, I love this. I love my customers. You have to be a good merchant. You have to be a good business person on top of it. But when you show up as the best version of yourself and you build a business around the best version of yourself, and you back it up with skills, that's always the qualifier. It's really hard to not be successful. That's what I would say. That's how people need to be wickedly branded.
That's beautiful. I appreciate that. So tell the listeners where they can find you, your website, where do you hang out? Do you have a resource maybe for them?
So you can, if you go to www.whizbang training, there's an H in Whizbang training.
Like Cheese Whiz?
Yeah. You can sign up for the Retail Buzz. And if you sign up for the Buzz every Wednesday, you'll get it used to be the tip of the week. Now it's the Retail Buzz. And every Sunday you'll get an episode of my video blog, Real Retail TV. We also have a very active, very positive Facebook group
I love that group.
Called Whiz Bang Retailers. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's a really great community. And now we have Retail Brilliance, which you talked about. And I would encourage everybody, Retail Brilliance, we're building it so that all of your retail education is all in one place. It costs you nothing to register. And you can look around, you can see all the courses, including courses by you, Beverly. The Retail Mastery System is there. But, you know, if you want skills, they're there. You just have to make that commitment to your education, to your growth, and to your future, right? I mean, it's not about my future. It's about you getting better is about your future and your family and your community. So that's where you find me.
Yes. And I will say that the retail, the Whiz Bang group on Facebook is probably one of my favorite Facebook groups. And I am in a lot of Facebook groups because of what we do, Bob. Like I'm all over the internets. And so I feel like they're very engaged. You put out a lot of great content. You answer questions through videos. Like you are just very active on there, curating that content. And I think you guys do a really good, you and Indy and your team does a really good job there. It's really, it's stellar, I feel like, from the content and the people that are there. I think the retailers are like great people. Like there's just something about them. They're just down to earth, you know.
Absolutely.
They tell you how it is.
Hey, and there's one other thing. The Retail Success Summit is our big event, and it happens this year. It's live again in Grand Rapids, Michigan, June 13th and 14th. I think I'll be there. I promise.
Not your calendar, right?
But, you know, so just imagine yourself in the room with 350, 400, you know, really, really growth-minded, customer-focused retailers. The energy is just great. So that's something that I would encourage everybody to look into for sure. Because you come to the summit once, you will leave fired up. You will leave
with enthusiasm. And you will be drinking from a straw in the ocean. Like you're drinking the ocean from a straw because there's so much good stuff that you guys offer. Last year I was a part of it, gave a talk as well. It's a great conference for sure. You should attend. The people you're going to meet are going to be amazing. The speakers are going to be phenomenal. Some of my favorite people have been the deli.
Zingerman's, Ari Weinsweiler.
Some really good people you've had on stage talking about their experience and what they do. And like Bob said, with Retail Brilliance, we have 3 courses on there. One of the favorites is the marketing binder that you can kind of like organize and keep all of your marketing stuff in one place.
Can I pitch that for you for a second? So I'll tell you what, that piece is so important. You know, this whole idea of when we talked about mindset, skill set, structure, one of the most important structural pieces you can build in your business is to have a marketing plan that is all in one place. Because if you have a marketing plan, if you build a good plan and you plan each thing correctly and you recap it after it's done and it resides in that binder, all of a sudden that binder becomes, that binder becomes the foundation of all of your marketing plans in the future. And if you want your business to be more valuable, you need to have these structural pieces. So if somebody comes in, they want to buy your business, and you can show them that really good looking book and say, look, you can do other things if you want, but if you just follow this marketing plan, you're good to go.
Yes.
And then you have a training program. If you just put your people through this training program, you are good to go. You know, there's a whole bunch of structural pieces.
Yeah.
But that's what a savvy buyer will be willing to pay a lot more for.
Well, we also give the example in there that if you work with vendors, so you can, if you're showing, how an event is profitable or how a particular type of inventory moves during that event, you can start to create collaborations and partnerships with vendors where they're paying you for marketing. Now, I don't know any listener or any business owner who wouldn't love some infusion of cash to help you with your marketing budget.
Yeah.
So when you are organized and you are more sophisticated, like you said, 97% of the people out there, and you have a plan, you know it works, you can see the numbers and you show it to them, they're like, yep. Like when you can make a really sophisticated ask and they know that they can rely on this partnership to help them grow, like it's what's in it for both of us, it becomes a really powerful tool to help you create those collaborations and also benefit you, whether it's some infusion of cash or even like free samples or whatever the thing might be for that event or that particular promotion. But it does really elevate you as a business owner in their mind, for sure.
No, it's a level of sophistication. And I don't know if you learned this from Lewis and Jill, but that whole creating partnerships is something that I learned from Lewis and Jill, and they use it with that book. Lewis and Jill own the Pet Bistro here in Michigan, and they're members of our Platinum Mastermind group, and they're clients of Beverly's. But, that whole idea of going and asking, but not just asking, showing them the value that that the vendor is going to get. When they first started talking about doing the strategy that you just shared, I was like, because, I'm around. I talk to retailers all the time. And when I hear a brilliant idea, man, a light bulb goes off in my head. And I thought that was a brilliant one. And to your point, and so for everybody who's listening, if you don't have that marketing binder, make that investment. It really is a great investment. You can find it on retailbrilliance.com.
Thank you for the hype. I appreciate it, Bob.
You're welcome.
I actually was really blessed to be able to go to some of their conferences with them, the Pet Bistro. They've been a client of mine for 15 years. 15 years. Because, I was like 6 when I started.
I was just going to say, what? No, it's 27, Beverly.
But they were opening their second store, and I was there helping, and I had presented all of the stuff that we had built for them within the binder, like presentation style from a marketing perspective, and we were able to get them 6 figures worth of from either promotions, money.
It was crazy. It was crazy.
It was crazy. Yeah. And I was there, and it was so incredibly powerful to be a part of that and to see how powerful everybody was like, yes. Like there wasn't a lot of people who said no. I know the market's changed a little bit lately, but they couldn't say no to it.
Right. Well, and so for all of your listeners, I think that I just want to, sort of dial it in and state it more succinctly. So asking your vendors for money, for samples, for product, for all those things, everybody does it. But what Beverly is talking about, what we're talking about here, what Lewis and Jill do so well is asking for money or asking for something, but then showing exactly, we've talked about it, but I'm trying to get it right. I want this, but I want this. And here's what you're going to get from me if you give me this, and be very, very specific about it. Then to your point, Beverly, they go, oh, how can I say no?
Right.
I'm going to give you this. I'm going to get freezer space. I'm going to get an end cap. I'm going to get. It makes sense.
Yeah.
So
when I get in front of your 10,000 newsletter list,
yes.
To be on social media every month. Oh my gosh. Like when you give them that and you show like, here's our reach in these areas, and you're really organized in that information, that is the key. And that's why the marketing binder is so incredibly powerful, and going in with such intention. There's a difference going in and saying, oh yeah, I'm doing, I'm so-and-so I'm Lisa from so-and-so. And do you have any samples versus, perfect. I did this event last year. This is how much we sold. This is my reach. This is where our intention is. We grew 12% in this area. We want to do this with your product. Are you interested in being part of this? And they're like, yeah, what else can I sign up for?
Yes.
They are eager to have those relationships with you, and they're eager to have those collaborations because there is something in it for them, but there's also a lot that can be in it for you as the owner of the business.
That's exactly right.
I am a big fan of the marketing binder. It was a labor of love, let me tell you, Bob.
And it's a wonderful thing. Highly recommended.
Yes. Thank you so much for the hype. I appreciate it. Bob, this has been an incredible conversation. We went far longer than we intended, but I feel like we could go another hour. It'd be really easy. But for my listeners, I just want you, if this episode did one thing, I hope it challenged the story that so many business owners tell themselves, that if things are hard or that something must be wrong with them. Because as you heard today, most small businesses don't struggle because of the economy or the algorithm or the lack of passion inside of them. They struggle because no one ever taught them the skills they actually needed to run a profitable, sustainable business. And that truth is incredibly powerful, because it means growth is possible for you. It means you can learn these things. Confidence can be built, and brilliance can come from education, not a point of exhaustion, right? So I really hope that maybe a little fire was lit under you today, gave you tons of ideas, and reminded you that your work actually really deeply matters. I believe that marketing isn't just about visibility. It's about the impact you can create. It's about using the skills that you have built to connect with the right people in the way that feels true to you. So I want you to keep learning, keep refining, and keep showing up with intention. And if the Retail Mastery System is great for you, or the Retail Brilliance Program is for you with those courses, please check them out. But if you ever feel stuck or unsure of your next step, just know this: you don't have to do it alone. People like Bob are there for you. We're there to help you turn what you've learned into some momentum, real momentum for your business, and really spark your growth and your business in a way you never thought possible. But until next time, I really want you to dare to be wickedly branded. Wow, what an incredible conversation we just had. I hope that this episode lit a little bit of a fire under you to finally bring your brand to life in a way that feels true to you. Remember, clarity is the spark, but activation is that fire and flame that keeps your message and your visuals and your strategy aligned, and the confidence that follows. So does that lovely thing called momentum that you've been waiting for. So if today's episode, if you loved it, make sure you are subscribed to the Wickedly Branded Marketing Podcast so you never miss an insight or a conversation. Until next time, dare to be wickedly branded. Wow, what an incredible conversation we just had. I hope that this episode lit a little bit of a fire under you to finally bring your brand to life in a way that feels true to you. Remember, clarity is the spark, but activation is that fire and flame that keeps your message and your visuals and your strategy aligned, and the confidence that follows. So does that lovely thing called momentum that you've been waiting for. So if today's episode, if you loved it, make sure you are subscribed to the Wickedly Branded Marketing Podcast so you never miss an insight or a conversation. Until next time, dare to be wickedly branded.